Folks. So the saga still continues on the tariff war between Donald Trump and Justin Trudeau that is now turning itself into a laughable circus. Something that could have easily been sat down, negotiated, come to the conclusion that yes, our border security is in crisis. We should be doing something about that. We should be doing something about the fentanyl problem coming into places like BC. Something that could have easily been rationed out has now turned itself into some sort of loony bin bar brawl. It's kind of basically a catastrophe out on the streets. But the interesting part is there's a new chapter in this saga as there's new contenders also entering to the ring. Not only are we going to see individual premiers having their say on the tariff war and the possibility of what they can implement into retaliating against Donald Trump, but here, figures like Elon Musk, as pointed by Canada Proud, have called Justin Trudeau an insufferable tool. Says he won't be in power for much longer. And I gotta say, that's a bit rough. I mean, a tool is very helpful around the house. I think that's very discriminatory against hammers and saws. Calling it in comparison with our lackluster prime minister. This guy is obviously hardware prejudice in this situation. So Justin Trudeau then decided to clap back after all the attacks done by Donald Trump, all the people in America that are calling this guy out, that Elon Musk is also piling on, that most Canadians are calling this guy out. And when Justin Trudeau gets called out because of his narcissistic personality, because of being a trust fund rich kid, he's going to go into this frantic kind of meltdown on public television. And he's about to go frantically berserk over the fact that we haven't made progress. And turning himself from the insufferable tool, as Elon Musk is pointing out, to almost being like a hall monitor for the global industrial complex. So listen to this.
It wasn't supposed to be that way. We were supposed to be on a steady, if difficult sometimes, march towards progress. And yet, just a few weeks ago, the United States voted for a second time to not elect its first woman president.
Yeah, how dare you? The American people are supposed to vote a woman whose cackle will do nothing but harm. A woman who will also do the exact heinous material that the predecessor did. A woman who has locked up more people in prison than put people into school. A woman. This is literally amazing. This is literally like watching the hall monitor of the Klaus Schwab Reformatory Authority School, where Justin Trudeau is the teacher's pet. I told you guys, you're supposed to have your woke pass. You guys are ruining progress. Progress is in trouble. Now go to the board and write 50 times that I love globalism. Go to the board right now. You traitors. But there's more. There's more to this.
Everywhere, women's rights and women's progress is under attack, overtly and subtly. But I want you to know that I am, and always will be, a proud feminist. You will always have an ally in me and in my government.
A proud feminist. Hear that again, folks. Hear that again, folks. He's literally blurting out the most stupidity thing I have ever heard from this guy.
Proud feminist. You will always have an ally in me and in my government.
You will always have an ally in me and my government. The newest single from Randy Newman. Justin Trudeau, the proud feminist. Wow. Wow. You know, somewhere right now, I think Gloria Steinem is looking at this and going, God damn it, now I need a sex change. Because if that's a feminist, folks, there's no progress. There is no progress whatsoever. And what progress has he done to the females here in Canada? What progress has he done? Because you no longer have choices anymore. Remember, he used to be pro-choice? That simply went away during COVID because you don't have a choice. Now he stands up and say, you're pro-abortion. Which, how is that progress? How is that progress to stand on the stage there and blurt out the words pro-abortion? Nobody's pro-abortion. Okay? That's like saying you're pro-suicide. Which, sadly, this guy is. This guy that turned maids into this kind of killing spree among her own. This maniac who self-describes himself as a feminist. Well, I mean, in retrospect, wasn't Adolf Hitler a vegetarian and a dog lover? He didn't announce it blatantly like some sort of idiot, but authoritarian to another authoritarian, you get the similarities. Oh my God, that's hilarious. So here is some examples of the lovely feminist Justin Trudeau in his prime in action here. Because people may remember that just a short while ago, this is back in 2019, that Justin Trudeau went after his own members of parliament. His own members of parliament within his party to force them to lie and cover up for one of his notorious scandals. So you may recall that Justin Trudeau ejects Jody Wilson-Rayboult and Jane Philpott from the Liberal caucus. They got droved out by Justin Trudeau and his mafia gang because they were blackmailed. The two women were blackmailed, ridiculed, harassed in order to lie and cover up the scandals with Justin Trudeau and SNC-Lavalin. And these two women felt compromised. They felt uncomfortable. They felt like they were being pressured by Justin Trudeau to act against the Canadian government, against the Canadian populace. And that's when Jody Wilson-Rayboult testified, explained the position. That's when we got information about the phone call that was discussed by another member of Justin Trudeau's cabinet, pressuring her, saying, hey, you got to lie and not tell people about this. Pressuring Jody Wilson-Rayboult, pressuring Jane Philpott, and forcing them out of caucus because they went against their own people, their own constituents, to cover up this maniac's goals, to cover up this maniac's corruption with the SNC-Lavalin. And here's also something from The Guardian from 2018, where he apologized for groping a reporter in 2000. And this is just a couple examples of what a great feminist this guy is. He's an ally. Such a great ally to Canadians. This guy who is, a 50-year-old single dad now who hangs out with teenage girls at a Taylor Swift concert when his country is in flames. Such a great feminist, ladies and gentlemen. The magic of Justin Trudeau. And including this story. So this is from October 30th of this year. I didn't even know about this till now. But there was this lady here who was a former MP of Justin Trudeau's cabinet who recently resigned from his ministry, resigned from his cabinet because she felt pressured the same way that Jody Wilson-Rayboult, the same way that Jane Philpott also felt pressured. So, this is a video clip here. It says, I've never been so scared in my life to be in a room with someone, says Selena Ceaser-Chavanes of her former boss, Justin Trudeau. And she went on to discuss this with Jordan Peterson on Jordan Peterson's podcast show. Now, I unfortunately can't show you the video because something with Jordan Peterson, I don't know if it's with the Daily Wire or something, has a bit of contribution to copyright, and I don't want to, get into that mess. I can't really show much of the video there. So luckily the National Post broke this down. So the National Post wrote up saying that Trudeau's tokenism was dehumanizing. Former MP tells Jordan Peterson, Selena Ceaser-Chavanes, I'm not allowed to speak to the media. I'm not allowed to speak in the House. I'm not being sent anywhere. So this woman here was deliberately abused by Justin Trudeau and used as a prop for his own gain, for his own kind of woke tokenistic gain. And as she's saying, it's dehumanizing because you're judging me by the color of my skin and not my character. You're not allowing me to pursue what I can provide for this government, what I can provide for this party, and instead just abusing me and my appearance so that Justin Trudeau can masquerade all the corruption and chaos by his diverse government. Remember when he said that? We have the most diverse government here. Look at all the females here. Look at all the black people here. Indigenous people are in my party. How great is that? Except for the fact that we don't actually recognize diversity of thought. We don't actually bring people's character to the table, which is kind of the exact opposite of progress. It's kind of the exact opposite of progress. You know, when MLK stated that people should be judged based on the content of their character, not the color of their skin, well, Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party are doing the exact opposite. It's all about not judging people's character and going after them or using them strictly based on their appearance. So, here's the article here. It says, Selena Ceaser-Chavanes recently sat down with Jordan Peterson and described how quickly her time as a Liberal MP went from sunny days to dark days. Little of what Ceaser-Chavanes said here about Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's behavior is new, but since she, Jody Wilson-Rayboult, and Jane Philpott left Parliament, these behaviors have become corroborated so many times that they should now be impossible to ignore. Starry-eyed and hopeful about the government's new sunny ways, when elected, Ceaser-Chavanes was about to quickly find out what working with the Because It's 2015 cabinet really meant. Despite having no political experience, she was appointed Trudeau's parliamentary secretary within a couple of months. She told Peterson it was a shock to win, a shock to be in this job, but she says she was determined that she could do it. Ceaser-Chavanes says that her and Trudeau did not get off on the right foot because she says she did not immediately answer yes to the question of whether or not she trusted his judgment. No, I have no reason to. I just met you, she said. She told him. According to her, Trudeau immediately took offense to this. I realized that at that moment, the tension in the room got a little awkward, she said. I ran. I was elected. He just had a different title. We both worked hard. But I had to appreciate him for whatever reason. He ranked me over the coals for that, she said. Admittedly, this sounds funny to anyone who understands what he was actually asking at this point. Trudeau obviously wasn't asking her for the kind of trust involved between a husband and a spouse. On the one hand, Ceaser-Chavanes comes off from the get-go as unnecessarily combative, as if she's never had a boss before. Every office has a Selena, someone who's too big for her britches, hasn't yet put in their time for the type of respect and power that they want to wield, and who immediately sees fault in everyone but themselves. On the other hand, someone in the top position of the country should have been able to deal with someone like Ceaser-Chavanes with a light touch without becoming insulted. Alas, Trudeau had only ever been a substitute teacher and does not appear to have acquired these real-world people skills. Exactly. So, people will rush to judgment saying, well, you're in this position and Justin Trudeau is the prime minister. He has the higher power. He has the higher responsibility. So obviously what he says goes. But the problem with this is the fact that Justin Trudeau, being the trust fund kid, being someone who doesn't have that real world people skills, the fact that he got elected by the hope of 2015 during his election, did not provide him the necessary skills to actually negotiate with people within his own cabinet. And we're seeing right now more and more people within his cabinet are fed up with Justin Trudeau and are calling for him to resign because of this behavior, because of this narcissism. And I know Jordan Peterson said it in a different term, but I forget exactly what he said. But it's basically a narcissistic personality disorder that Justin Trudeau has. He's a trust fund kid. He's grown his whole life with a silver spoon. He doesn't understand real world complexity. And that's kind of hard to run a country and negotiate with people when you don't have that initial skill. When you don't understand the real world and real people. That's why a lot of our trade deals, a lot of our negotiations have completely hit the fan. Because of Justin Trudeau's inability to actually understand real-world people. So, when asked by Peterson who was actually running the show in the Liberal government when she was there, Ceaser-Chavanes responded, Canadians would remember that when Stephen Harper was Prime Minister, that people kept saying that the Prime Minister's office was really centralized. All decisions were made there. Nothing changed with Justin Trudeau. It was the central office. It was the principal secretaries, Jerry Butts, Katie Telford, that were primarily running the show. I don't think I'm the only one who would say this. I think that when former Finance Minister Bill Morneau left, he said the same thing. She said, communications in the House of Commons were tightly controlled. Ceaser-Chavanes was told, read the speech, say what's on the speech, and don't deviate. She complained about cookie-cutter tweets. Everyone sends out a tweet, and they all look the same. Isn't that interesting? Because people within this Liberal government are swooped in to have the exact same thinking. They're swooped in. It is a cult. These political parties are a cult. The same way we saw people like AOC in the Squad when they were entering government, when they got elected and they were going through the notions of becoming Democrats within the House. What did we see there? We saw people dragging them in, telling them that this is how it's going to be. Don't retaliate. Don't go against the grain. Just go with the flow. Trust these people. Kiss up to people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. And that's exactly what the Squad did. The Squad did not bring on the pain, did not bring on the ruckus as AOC promised. They caved. They caved because they knew there was such high pressure that they were going to have to sell themselves short in order to retain that job, in order to retain that position. But they congratulate themselves when they keep doing that because, oh, look, now I have a spot in this committee. Instead of, hey, I actually done something meaningful for my constituents, for people within the sector that brought me into this office, that voted me in. And it did not take long for Ceaser-Chavanes to realize that because the 2015 cabinet wasn't going to be all rainbows and butterflies. Between 2015 and 2019, I was the only black female Canadian elected. I wasn't going to complain too much. I didn't want to ruffle feathers, she told Peterson. But she thought something isn't right. She was told make sure she showed up for a picture on a certain date. It turned out that it was to commemorate an occasion that involved Black history. She quickly started to notice a pattern. I was invited to 3 events that were black focused. After that, I was done, she said. Tokenism is very disenfranchising, very dehumanizing. I'm not allowed to speak to the media. I'm not allowed to speak in the House. I'm not being sent anywhere. What kind of trip does that play on your mind? What does that do to the mind of a person when they know that the only thing that they're there for is like, oh my God, look at this, I'm black. And oh my God, look at this, I'm a woman. Overall, she said she felt duped and betrayed by the Liberal government. Wow. And that's from Trudeau the Feminist, ladies and gentlemen. Trudeau the Feminist, Trudeau the woke, Trudeau the diverse politician. Look at how great my cabinet is. Look at how diverse people are. And this is exactly what the problem is with this woke culture, with identity politics, and how it's really become this virus, this kind of mind virus towards people, that there are people that are taking advantage of that diversity talk by the woke culture, by, implementing people of color into positions and women and using them for their own means to cover up the insanity of their chaos and corruption within this party. So they're electing this woman not because of her character, not because of her background, not because they see a potential with this woman, but all they're doing is saying, hey, you're a black female. Let's drag you in, use you as photo opportunity, and abuse your power, abuse your character and your appearance for our gains. Which is exactly what woke does. Exactly what the woke culture does. We bring these people in. We pretend that we care about diversity. We pretend to, shower people and put up this front of saying how diverse everything is. But all it does is cover up the fact, the real brutality of these companies, and they're able to get away with it because they can paint themselves with this woke identity. That's why so many corporations will put the rainbow flag in June, and say that they're for gay rights, even though these companies have nothing to do with gay rights. Places like Raytheon, why would you need to have the pride flag when you know you're a egregious company that's whole perspective and goal is to manufacture weapons to kill people? But they'll place it on their logo, they'll put it on their planes, they'll put it anywhere to cover up the fact of how outrageous and criminalizing and just awful these companies or these political parties truly are. And now you're seeing an inside look of what a narcissistic fool someone like Trudeau is, and how he doesn't have the capabilities to talk to his own cabinet when it comes to disagreement, but also the fact that his narcissism plays a factor into all this woke identity crap. The fact that he's abusing people for the cover-up, for the ideal that, hey, if I put a black woman here, no one's going to question me about my actions towards black people. If I pretend to have an indigenous person in my cabinet like Boissonneau, who had to resign because we now know that he made that whole thing up, he falsely identified himself as being indigenous to get federal contracts. We know that was a cover-up, and he was able to abuse that for his own gain, and he had to resign. But Justin Trudeau was going to use that anyway to cover up the fact that he has criminals within his government. Because, hey, nobody's going to question an indigenous person. Nobody's going to question my actions towards the indigenous population of Canada. If I have an indigenous person in my cabinet, then obviously I care about them. Obviously. So that's where the wokenism has gone to. That's the tokenism. That's what Trudeau's stature and his ideals, his mindset has just absolutely corroded not only this country, but people within his cabinet.